Um, okay.
Are we good?
Yep, we're live. Hey guys, how it going? This is Yara Spark. I'm here today with Michael, St. Michael actually. He's
Hello.
actually going to be my main co-host for now on, so he's going to be a permanent member. And also, we are hopefully going to be doing this weekly, if not close to that.
Yeah, super glad to be aboard. I want to just say first off, thank you, Spark, for the opportunity to do this. Spark's been a good friend of mine since I pretty much have been playing Elite. Um, and yeah, I'm just happy to join in on the fun and help with this podcast, which I think is really cool.
Yes, from our recent podcast we did, a lot of people were very impressed with how professional it was and also how well it went for our first podcast, and also just a lot of feedback in general, which I guarantee you, me and St. Michael are very grateful for, and hopefully we will get more comments and more views as we keep doing this.
Yeah, definitely. And I want to just reiterate what Spark said and thank you, everyone. It's been awesome to hear some of the feedback, especially some of the DMs and private messages. Honestly, I didn't really expect us to get much, and it seems like we've gotten a lot more than I thought we would. And thank you all. I hope you keep listening, and I hope we keep providing some interesting content to listen to.
Frameshift drive charging.
Yes, I do agree very much so. So what topics are on board today, Michael? What you got for me?
All right. Well, we got a few things to talk about. I think today we're going to go a little more lore based. There's been some interesting things in Galnet. Maybe we'll dive a little deeper into some of the topics we already talked about, like the mysteries with Gal Romero. Um, we'll also talk about like the new CG and the implications of it. We will talk about a little bit of Thargoid combat, of course, like we always do as an AX combat, and also some PvP for you PvPers out there. So that's Spark's main thing. But I think the first topic we are going to delve into.
Welcome, Brant Thar, to.
Oh yeah, sorry.
To the
I got
chat.
sorry I got quiet there. Everyone, little technical difficulties. Got a little private message. Just taking care of it. Anyway, I should be paying attention to that. Anyway, um, but yeah, let's get right into it. So I named a few of the topics. Spark, what do you want to start off with?
Let's talk about the Diamondback. That seems to be the hot topic that I've been reading a lot lately.
The Diamondback, Explorer, or Scout. Oh! You talking about the Gal Romero stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, of course. Yeah, I mean, it's. I think we already said this in our last podcast. That has really got the Raxo community excited. Unfortunately, I will say like the one piece of bad news for all of us sad face here is that it seems like FDev is doing one of their many sort of we're just going to drop this story and just leave it hanging. I believe the most recent one was case is closed until we get new clues or new leads, which is just I just want to say just so frustrating for the mystery community as a whole, no matter whether you're canon or IRH or whoever you or even independent, whoever you fly with. Just because you kind of give us these tantalizing clues, and we finally go, oh, okay, well maybe this is going to lead something dark with Raxla. Just have to have some clues. Sorry, not that they gave you much to begin with. But yeah, I think that's unfortunately sort of a sad topic in some ways because yeah, we're kind of back to square one. As far as I know, there's been no major discoveries from the independent groups,
Yeah.
but
I'd have to say, with the Diamondback being stolen, basically they did say the ship was fitted for outfit or long range exploration. So it makes me curious if there
yes,
is something out there that we have to just go and find really far away. But what that is just unknown. We don't have that information other than it's out there, but there's a lot of things out there we don't know about.
yeah, exactly, and I think that's a really kind of hitting the Raxla and the dark, even the Dark Wheel Hunter community, because the more we go at it, the more we talk about it, the more we realize, like we talk about scanning the bubble and stuff, but it's like, guys, and I think most of you listening probably realize this. It's like we scanned the bubble, like but all the planets are mapped, all the like. There's literally maybe one or two systems that are not totally fully scanned in the bubble, and I would imagine actually maybe even that's not true. It might literally be all of them. So I will say this: if FDiv is hiding this stuff in the bubble, then boom, it's really, really, really hard to find, or it's hidden on purpose where we can't find it. So maybe this was actually, I think you make a good point. Maybe this was like a little clue, like, hey guys, look a little further outside the bubble. because they obviously started this whole story, and we talked about this last podcast, where it was linked to Halsey, the original President Halsey visions or whatever. So that's kind of linking two things that are actually pretty far apart as far as just our time goes. The player time, which is of course the same as in-game time. So it's been what, a year and a half, 2 years, maybe even more. So the fact that they're linking these two things is kind of maybe trying to tell all of us, like, hey, go outside the bubble a little more, and start searching there. Although the problem with that, of course, and I can already hear the cries, is, oh goodness, outside of the bubble is 400 some billion stars. So it's like, really can't blame that argument either.
Yeah. I just feel like I want to be able to go out and find something, but like, where? Like, where do you go from there?
Yeah, and especially considering a lot of the sort of what you would consider to be the hotspots, meaning like the nebulas and like the other, literally the other side of the galaxy, being Eagle Point, and some of those areas. Like, actually, surprisingly enough, a lot of those areas have been explored. I think I said this last podcast. I've heard some rumors, and you know what? I don't even mind sharing with everyone here. I've heard some rumors about the Void, that there's something hidden out there. Of course, there's rumors about a lot of places in the galaxy, so this is probably just the other. But Elite Dangerous or FDev has said multiple times, like, hey, there's a lot of stuff you guys haven't discovered. And I think we also said this last time. FDev, give us just a few more clues. We don't need you to say where it's at, but just a little something to work with would be great. Because I feel like a lot of times they kind of just plop this stuff around the map, and maybe it is for even a lore point, but it's extremely difficult to figure out. Because there's a lot of smart people who play this game, and most people honestly just don't find anything. And even those who are like professional at it, like Canon, can go a pretty long time between finds. So, like, you know what I think about as a great example of it, is like when the Guardian sites were discovered. Like, if I recall, like one of the ways it was discovered was like the guy took the original like trailer and like triangulated the stars behind the system and was like, boom, it's here. But like to think that person had to go to lengths of those kinds to just figure out where that is pretty crazy.
Yeah,
Because
well,
like,
that's possible.
well, yeah, well, I mean, I know how it's possible from like a math theoretical point of view, but to think like you have to be good at math to do that kind of stuff, and a lot of times you have to really not only be good at math, but you have to be good at astronomy. So you have to be like, okay, I recognize these stars in this type, and it's roughly in this area. And that's really pretty daunting for your average player, if not 99% of players. So I mean, even I think even most triple elite players, as I am, and I know Spark's not far from, like, guys who played this game thousands of hours. Like, if that's my clue, then I'm not finding it.
Yeah, very bad. On kind of related news, didn't you say there was something else in the Galnet article that you wanted to talk about?
Well, there's actually several things. I will talk about. This is a little bit away from mysteries and more into the politics of the bubble, but I think what's happened with the alliance is kind of interesting. I think I might have mentioned this last podcast, but just in case I hadn't, is of course we have this whole Gibson Kincaid storyline where it's actually been going on for a while, I believe since last fall, where he's kind of constantly trying to kind of gain power in the alliance. And like even lately, he finally got like command of the Xeonce fleet. Of course, the bomb article that happened this week was, the admiral that had given him the fleet was like, oh, by the way, he's like a criminal and like organized all these assassins, and basically just totally stabbed the guy in the back, and flipped on him. Not that I think he shouldn't. I'm just saying that he did. And so now he's of course like looking very suspect. Which I have to say, what this all means is honestly another little bit of disappointment, because I was kind of hoping, not because I'm against the Alliance, so for any Alliance players who are listening, I'm not against the Alliance, but I just thought it would be interesting if we maybe had a new power player faction, because I think, the Alliance only has one, it's always had Edmund and Mahone. I thought it would be kind of interesting, like, hey, have a little strife outside of, like, the Empire. It's not that I know other groups have, like, the Federation has had a little strife in their own time as well, but I do feel like sometimes of the big three being the Federation and the Empire, that the Empire gets a little picked on. Maybe that's because I'm Imperial and I'm a little biased, I will say that. But in the end, I really do feel like, at least from a lore/Galnet point of view, they do. They have the Emperor's Dawn, the whole assassination of the Emperor, and then of course, they have the Hadrian and the Nova Imperium, and not to mention, at the end of the day, there's four powers vying for the Empire as it is: Torval, Petraeus, Aisling Duval, and Orisa. You know, so it's already like the most fractured group as it is. And so I was like, oh, okay, well, maybe we'll have two alliance players, kind of like we have two Fed. But it seems like, based on this new storyline, unless they really give it a new twist, and maybe that's their plan, that we're kind of back to just, oh no, you guys thought you were going to get something, but we're just going to kill this storyline and boom. So,
Speaking,
not trying. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
speaking of power play, I do find it interesting now that you think about it that there is 4 Empire, 4 Independent, 1 Alliance, and 2 Feds. Those feel like very awkward numbers.
Yeah, and actually, it didn't ever even totally make sense to me from just simple styles of groups. Like, I mean, if you think about it, what is the Empire? The Empire is basically at its heart an oligarchy, but a pseudo dictatorship oligarchy, meaning, senators kind of rule everything. But at the end of the day, they all have to answer to the emperor. So basically it's a feudal system, I guess, or at least a similar one, kind of like an original. I think we call it patronage, but that's fine. But what's interesting is democracies traditionally, like especially if you look at just let's look at the example of our country. I'm not trying to get into politics, anyone, before we get into this too much, but just an idea of if you go to Europe, there's a ton of parties. You go to one country, there might be like 10 parties and that kind of thing, which is great. But that's kind of what democracy breeds: is a lot of opinions, a lot of different parties. And I always thought it was kind of weird how the authoritarian government had 4 powers all vying for power, and they're constantly bickering amongst themselves. Yet the democratic governments were, all of a sudden, it's either a 2-party system like America, or it's literally just one dude that everyone's loyal to, and that there's no sort of factions. Like, everyone's just behind Mahone. I'm sorry, it just doesn't really make sense in a democracy. Just really doesn't. Like, having this one guy that everyone's just like, yep, Mahone, that's it, we're done. Like, there would be significant opposition to him. Even if he was doing the right thing, there'd be significant opposition to him, because we're humans, and that's what we do. So I always thought that was a little bit uneven. The independents don't bother me as much, because I think the idea of some independent people having their own powers makes sense. And actually, to give a little credit to the independent powers, like Yuri Grom, for instance, is basically a split off of the Fed. So he kind of is an example of a bit of, I guess, issue or problems that another power has to deal with, being the Federation.
Very true. Going on to another topic that was in the Gallic news is the weapon manufacturer that won for the CG. Zendar Peterson or something?
Yeah, I assume you're talking about the advanced multi-cannons?
Yes. How do you feel about the advanced multi-cannons?
I'm not sure. I don't know if we covered this already, but you know what? Why not answer it twice? I think, like most people, I'm just underwhelmed. I mean, it's pretty much a copy and paste of the regular multi-cannons, where, hey, you have the option to synthesis, like for AX, but honestly, most of the time you're not going to do that, or it's just not worth your effort and time for what it gives you. Because, I mean, all right, anyone who fights Thargoids is going to tell you right now, if you're getting the Guardian stuff, for mad hunting, that's going to be irritating, because you have to go out to Guardian sites. If you're getting it from the Thargoids themselves, that's kind of irritating too. You certainly would have trouble in CZs. Like, you couldn't go the way we do now for mad hunting, where you can just drop in a CZ or drop into a high res and just kill a couple ships and just throw out limpets and just pick up everything that falls. Because most of the time your limpets are going to be running into these acid clouds and other things that are going to destroy them. So it's just not going to work the way you want it to. So I just feel like it's way too much effort for the little gain you get from it. So I have to say, overall, disappointed.
Yeah, looking at the requirements now, they are definitely a bit high. I have never even heard of a Guardian technology component, so I'm very curious to know what that is. And I was a little overwhelmed by the synthesizing requirements, but that's just me. I do feel a little disappointed that it is just a copy and paste of a multi-cannon. I would really have liked it to have been the original AX multi-cannons, those twin barrel, multi-cannon style, but not the exact copy. I wish it was like those. Those look sweet. I would love to have a set of those for PvP, because those just look freaking amazing.
Oh no, definitely, and that's what I mean by disappointed. Like they didn't give it any different, and actually I agree with you. I think those twin barrels were really awesome too. Um, but like just think about that. So like honestly, like if you're just a casual AX fighter, meaning like I don't do it all the time. I just like to do it to break up monotony or whatever. Like you're certainly not like why would you? If you're a hardcore AX pilot, so now I have more grind. You know, like, it's not that the game's not grindy enough as it is. We're gonna have to now go out to Guardian sites and grind this extra stuff, and and on a lot of ships, it's not even going to be worth it at all because I think I might have said this last podcast. If you're not on a large ship where you're going to, use more than the 4 experimentals anyway, then you're not even going to really use it. Like if I have a Crate Mark II, I use through most of my AX combat, and I'm sure a lot of people who do AX are the same way. In fact, I know they are because I fly with them. And you have what 5 slots, right? So you're pretty much either you're always putting your 4 Guardian slots, but you're either usually using a slot for flak, or if you're doing a lot of wing stuff, you might use it for like a pulse concordant sequence, or maybe like a regular multi-cannon to kind of deal with scouts or whatever you might have you. But the point is, you're not really having room for a bunch of extra advanced multi-cannons to do damage. So I just feel like it's one, a very niche thing in the sense it's only going to be used on large ships, and two, not really worth it even if you do it. And three, if you are going to do it, you're going to have to grind like crazy to make sure you have enough mats for it. And this has been pointed out by like Axie before, where if you go back to like the station and you just replenish your ammo, it'll immediately turn it back to human ammo. So you have to synthesize again. So like literally every time you reload, you do. And so like think about this: like if you're in a fight and you run out of gauze ammo or you run out of shard ammo, but you don't necessarily run out of advanced multi-cannon ammo, but you decide to stock your ammo anyway because you need those shots, right? Then all of a sudden, oh well, all that thousands of bullets I had left that were AX are now gone, and I have to synthesize again.
You could,
Uh,
if you wanted to, go into the advanced options.
yeah, I guess that's true. You could like individually refuel them all. That's a good point. Um, but I would also say kind of what you said earlier, like technology components. I do know what technology for Guardian components are. They're basically one of, if not the rarest manufactured Guardian material. So like, not only are they making it a grind in the sense that you have to go out there to get it, but they're like, oh, we're not even making it the easy one to find. We're going to make it the one that's really, really rare and hard to find.
Even though it's only tier 2.
Yeah, even though it's only territory, which totally makes sense, right? And now they have talked about, in defense of FDev, they have talked about things like Guardian material traders coming out soon and stuff like that, which is great. But at the end of the day, that still makes you grind because once you trade all your power cells or your like wreckage components or Sentinel weapon parts, and there's one more Guardian part I'm forgetting. But once you trade all those, what do you have to do? You have to go back out there and get those. So I mean, I guess it's kind of nice for us who are stocked up, which I am on those, just because I kind of have them when I went to go hunt the Guardian stuff. It's still, at the end of the day, especially if you sent a bunch with them, going to be and like I said, just overall disappointing.
Speaking of, on the thing of Thargoids, how do you think the Thargoid war between humans and Thargoids are going?
I think in general they're going pretty well. I think as far as incursions are definitely going, meaning that when a system goes to an incursion, I actually cannot remember the last week that we didn't clear them all. And I don't mean me personally, but just the AX community as a whole didn't clear them all. I will say the negative of it is it's really hard to stop the incursions from happening. There's these infested systems that you can find through the Eagle Eyes out there. There's 6 of them, and there's usually 6 infested systems a week. But unfortunately, if you go to one of these systems, and I'm sure Axie and Hive pilots and LL pilots and other ones know what I'm talking about here, you're like 4,000, 3,000, 5,000, sometimes even 10 or 20,000 distance between the signal. And of course, the defense of a system is based on the number of kills or bonds you turn in. So I can spend 20 minutes, 30 minutes traveling between targets sometimes. And then so basically it makes infested systems so monotonous and so numbing and boring that you really don't even want to do them. In fact, most of the time people just wait for the AX incursions, not to mention that 16-1 go into 2 weeks. I mean, that's happened. Like, let me not say that, but not recently. I would say the negative, though, is that to stop an incursion really takes a dedicated group who's just willing to deal with the grind and the numbness of constantly flying between these huge distances in CZs.
Very much so. What's your opinion on the new?
I don't have a problem with those guys. Those guys do good work. But more because that tells me that, hey, we're still taking player suggested CGs. So, because I remember, and I know I was part of this, a lot of people when the Interstellar Initiatives first came out were like, oh god, this is all we're getting now, and all these player suggested CGs are just out the window. But no, 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 no. Lo and behold, looks like they're going to kind of use those as like sort of in between placeholders between their Interstellar. So they have not forgotten us completely anyway. So like I actually think this is really, really good news because it means, like I said, player suggested CGs are now on the table. They're going to be used. So if you've already suggested one or put one in, don't fret. You might actually come up after all. And from what I've heard, there's at least one more player CG coming out before July, and maybe even two. They might even do it up until the Interstellar Initiative itself. So that is really, really cool because, like I said, like a lot of people put time into this. There's a lot of groups want those things, and it's really nice that all that effort from those people, especially considering most of those people are like the most hardcore players you have, wasn't wasted, and that's all.
Yeah. It makes me curious if they'll actually ever have overlapping CGs going, like two at once. I feel like it wouldn't hurt, or it would be a good idea maybe just to get more done. But
Well,
I
they've
don't.
done double CGs, but but like as you said, they're usually for the same goal. But I have seen CGs in two systems before. At least I'm almost positive I have, unless I'm just going crazy.
I think so.
It's not common, but I'm pretty sure I've seen it once or twice. Um, yeah, I think that would be fine too. I've actually agree with you. I've never totally understood why we have to limit ourselves to one CG. I mean, we're a freaking entire bubble idea that there's only one sort of community goal or something the Galaxy is trying to accomplish that week is kind of crazy to me. So I'm sure it's more of a technical issue as to why they stick to one. But if they could do two, or I think that'd be a really cool idea too. I think that would be awesome, and I think it could work.
Yeah, I do hope that Sagittarius A area becomes like Colonia. That would kind of make me happy because I feel like it would introduce possibly a new set of engineering that Colonia has done recently, like shield cell banks and lightweight sensors. That's just one of many things that have happened from it. I doubt there'll be any more, but hey, you never know.
I'm kind of a mixed bag on that. Like in some ways, I'm really cool with them. Like finally doing some stuff in Colonia that you can't get in the bubble, and because just to get people interested and maybe get people to go out there. But at the same time, it's like a lot of people really base their careers, meaning like how they play Elite in the bubble, into all of a sudden like, hey, guy who likes to do power play or guy who likes to do this or that, you're now having to go 23,000 light seconds outside of the bubble to go pick up this extra engineering that you just cannot get here. Which, of course, doesn't even totally make sense in some ways to me anyway. But like I said, to me, it's kind of a mixed bag. So there's some good, some bad. But you know what? I think of all things that Elite's done, I'm not going to complain about those ones.
Currently cleaning up the chat. Very sorry about that. But yes, very much a problem, but could be a good one at the same time. I don't know. I feel like it gives. It does have its pros and cons, but it does make me feel pretty happy that I am an exploration pilot at the same time.
Yeah, actually, I'm the same way. Like, it's not. I think I told you this. Like when they first came out with the new shield cell banks, they were G4s, and so me and a buddy, shout out to Link One, went out to Colonia, and we got in our jumping ships, and I think I was using a Con, I think he was too. They were both like 70 light year jump ships, and we got there 12 hours, got there back 12 hours, not literally solidly playing, but basically a 24-hour trip with sleep and breaks in between, using the Neutron Highway, of course. um, and that was cool. But we did talk about this afterwards, and I'll talk about this with you now, was just like we could do that, and you can do that too because you're a hardcore explorer, so you know how to do all that stuff. Um, like we can do it because like, we know what we're doing. This is we're hard. We not only done combat, but we've done hardcore exploring. We know how the neutron highway works. We know how to build a jumping ship. We know how to build a properly built jumping ship where it's not a piece of paper. I think that's one of the biggest mistakes I've seen from people is where they build these like jumpacondas. And it's like, oh, I have 80 light years, and it's like, really, what's your shields and hull? And they're like, oh, 200 hull and 50 shields or 0 shields. So like literally, they can like tap something and die. Um, yeah, but once you build it properly, I think I went out there with like 2,000 plus shields and something else, and I was still jumping 70 light years. Um, you can really get there and get back pretty safely, pretty easily, which is, of course, great. But I think the issue is that most people can't. And even if you're like a hardcore only PvPer, I think most of those guys probably could just because they really know how to make builds and they're just kind of used to it from PvP and just kind of got to transfer that and also explorership. But I think other people definitely don't necessarily, and so that kind of bothers me that like an entire group of people who sit in the bubble, can't really get these advantages, and now just have given the hardcore gankers who are usually hardcore players, and also the hardcore people in general like another advantage over the common guy.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I feel like anyone can explore because you can probably make a decent Cobra go out there fairly easy. I mean, I did whenever I first started playing Elite.
yeah, but it's not really exploring if you're just going out there for the shield cell banks. Like if I'm a player and I'm sitting in the bubble and I'm like, oh, I'm going to go to Colonia, but I'm not going to Colonia because I care about exploring, and I'm not going to Colonia because I would just want to see Colonia. I'm going to Colonia because hey, they've got engineering that I can't get. Then that's where I feel it's a little. Like I said, I do also see the positives though. Like I'm glad that it's getting people interested in exploring. I'm glad it's people going, hey, I need to build this long distance jumping ship. So, like I said, to me, it's kind of a mixed bag once again. So I'm actually not against it. Maybe I sounded that way. I shouldn't have. But I do feel like that there's definitely a group of players that are getting a little bit shafted, I guess would be the way to put it. But you know what? It's making them break out of their mold, so maybe even I'm wrong on that. At least it's getting them to discover a new avenue of elite. Which
Yeah,
at the end of the day, oh,
yeah.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead. I'll let you finish. Look at your microphone there, St. Michael's.
Sorry about that. I was just gonna say, which actually it gets people into an avenue of elite. They really should. I mean, in a lot of ways, we love the combat, we love the fighting, but like exploring is it. Like this is a 400 billion galaxy, and we weren't all meant to stay in the bubble. Like I know they've given us a lot of lore and a lot of politics for it, but at the end of the day, we were meant to explore. So yes, I do think it's good in that sense. Definitely. Go ahead. Sorry about that.
Oh, good. I do agree that just getting out and kind of just seeing what's out there. I know exploration really isn't the thing for everyone. I get it. I could possibly see it, but what's the point of just cramping yourself up in the bubble and just shooting shit? I mean, there's things to find out there in the space.
Yeah, no, I think I agree with you. I think that's why FDev is giving us more and more things to find out there. With the new biologicals and the new phenomena in general. Um, so yeah, I think it's definitely worth going exploring out there. I know a lot of people think it's boring, as you said, but if you really get out there, like it can be peaceful, it can be relaxing. It's actually, in some ways, one of the most relaxing things I've ever done in a video games. Most video games, at least that I personally play, are usually pretty intense and pretty like high focus, and it's sometimes kind of nice to just jump to stars and look at views and keep in mind that hey, this is all at least theoretically based on real physics and all that kind of stuff. And I know it's not perfect, but this is the closest that most of us are ever going to get to, if not all of us are ever going to get to, really exploring the Milky Way. So like that's something that we shouldn't totally forget. You know.
Yeah. Um, on another topic, what do you think about the recent hacking problem?
Ooh. Recent hacking problem is they feel the same as it's always been. Like, God, I know I'm that guy. Like everyone, like, oh no, it's so much worse now. Well, I'm going to say two things on that. One, I think the majority of players don't have. I really don't. I think one issue has been that the servers, especially since some of the recent updates have been really unstable. I see guys like I do AX all the time, and these guys aren't combat logging on me and AX, and they get dropped or thrown out or crash like constantly. So I think a lot of it is that. And as I was gonna say, and this is probably the most controversial remark, as much as a lot of these main broadcasters like Yamix and City and Ant and Exegius and all these guys kind of do cheat videos. I think they even did this big sort of stream lately. I, I think, I mean, I'm glad they're bringing it up to FDev, but like, are we really kidding ourselves that FDev didn't know? Because they did. They already did know. Like, the idea that they didn't is just kind of insane to me. And second off, I think what you're really doing in a lot of those scenarios is you're kind of letting people know, hey, there are cheats and hacks for this game. I've actually, apparently it's a very negative response. I know of one guy who got like banned from a stream for even mentioning that, basically saying that, oh, he was like a pro hacker. And I'm going to reiterate that guy's opinion just because he's not a pro hacker. I actually know these people. What they are is they're kind of just pointing out that there's a lot of newbies and a lot of people who come into this game and they watch your videos and they see you talking about cheating and they go, oh, they're cheating. Well, I better even the playing field. Or I want to take advantage. You know what I mean? And I almost feel like in some ways they're advertising. I don't think they're doing it on purpose, and I don't think what they're doing is meant to do that in any way. So like I'm not trying to in any way say these guys are conspiratoring or something with the cheaters. I just think that in a lot of ways it might lead to more cheating and not less, unfortunately. I know that's a really controversial thing to say, but I'm just gonna say it. Like I don't know, it's just something I've noticed.
Very much so. I feel like as a PvPer and as someone that's spent a lot of time in the galaxy and encountered a lot of people, I have never ran across a hacker, at least not a confirmed one. There's been some weird shenanigans, I would say, but I don't have enough proof to put it into forth that I would say I would need to step forth and say something about it. I know there are hacks. Obviously, they've shown plenty of them online, at least as the videos have said. And yes, they should be dealt with. I hate hackers. I hate dealing with that kind of crap. It's just awful for video games in general. It's one of the reasons why I got upset when World at War got hacked a lot. It was one of my favorite old COD games, and it got basically shit-fest on by hackers. So, just left a very sour taste in my mouth. And
yeah, I agree with that.
But hey, what can you do?
Yeah, exactly. I would say, like I said, two things. One, I agree with you on both points. Like, I know for some reason this whole anti-cheating thing has come up lately. I really haven't personally met many. Like, maybe they're out there. And what's funny is I'll admit I've been a little focused on AX and Edge lately, as you know, so I might not run into them as much. But in general, I don't. I used to do PvP pretty hardcore, and I'm actually about to get back into it. I mean, like you said, I'd meet the occasional suspicious, the occasional, that's a little funny. But I don't remember ever really meeting too many just straight up, oh, like that guy's cheating. So I'm not sure where this whole, like, oh, cheating's taken over thing has come from. Because even now, I still don't meet a lot of them. I guess they're all PvPers. And the other thing is, goodness, oh, I kind of blocked my point here. But the other thing is, just kind of what I already said, just like it's not that big of an issue, and I feel like we're creating an issue. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. Excuse me. Yeah, one, we are creating an issue. I think in some ways, like basically what I mean by that is we're blowing an issue that's already existed out of proportion, making it way worse. What I was also going to say is I remember like a lot of the demands of people were like, what is FDev going to do about this? And FDev basically came out and said what any normal, sane company would say, like, we're not going to tell you. And a lot of people got upset about that. Like, oh, well, they're not doing anything. And it's like, let me just tell this to the community for who don't know. I feel like most people should know, but if you don't know, they cannot give you a plan. Like if they give you a plan, like if I'm a company and I am creating a game and I'm working on it every day, and I say here's how I'm going to combat your cheating, blah 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 blah, then all of a sudden, if I'm a cheater, I go, okay, that's what they're going to do. So now I create a counter plan. Like it's no different than war or sports or something like that, you know. And this is a constant battle between those two things. And I know it can be frustrating not to know exactly what they're going to do, but at the end of the day, they cannot tell you, because if they tell you, they're telling the cheaters. Because anything they release publicly is released to everyone, and that not only includes you, the concerned elite player, but that includes the same guy who created those hacks and is working on the next version of them. So I just want to say in defense of FDev for once, because normally we're shitting on FDev, but for once I'm going to defend FDev in that they cannot say this, and I totally, totally understand why. Because if they do, they're just giving the cheaters their game plan, and bam, guess what you're going to deal with more as the player? Cheating. And I don't think any of us want that.
Yeah. I feel like, for some reason, as you said, it's really been blown out of proportion. I know one guy that did a live stream and apparently got banned for cheating on live stream or whatnot. Or
Oh yeah, the big topic, the guy who blocked Jameson's memorial with a beluga sideways that was like permanently invincible and all that good stuff.
yeah, and they had to get a clipper to push the damn thing out of the way. I feel
Yeah.
like it's kind of sad though. I kind of do have give FDev a little flack here. They did straight up ban him, and because that's usually against their policy. Usually they give him basically a striking system, which is kind of how it should be. I don't know why FDev went so extreme. It does make me a little questionable. I feel like either it needs to be reviewed and sometime, or it needs to have the strike system, or something. I feel like it does need to be dealt with, and I feel like a company. I know last podcast I was talking about Wargaming and their policies. I feel like FDev could take a policy for their cheating from Uplay or Ubisoft. I feel like they've done really well in the past, at least from my experience and what I've known from them, from hearing from other YouTubers and such, and from the community of how they handle cheaters. They they just can't make alt accounts and just get by with that kind of shit. I know a lot of people use alt accounts for Elite, but I feel like this would siphon out a lot of the garbage, basically, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion, though. Others may vary, of course.
Yeah. As far as this particular cheater, I've heard, like, I honestly don't know the guy. Let me just caveat this before I say anything. I have no idea who this is. I've never talked to this pilot. I know there's a lot of rumors one way or the other. But I mean, but there's I've heard stuff from, well, he's been caught cheating before, and that's why he's got banned. And then I've heard other people make him out to be like a hero, where it's like, no, he's just doing this to show FDev the error of their ways. I personally, like, I once again, not knowing him or not knowing the situation in the sense of like exactly what happened. I mean, I know that like what he did in the sense of he blocked the whole thing, but like I don't know what his personal motivations or what his friends' motivations or what anyone else's motivations might have been behind it. I'll just say, like, the idea that like I already said this once, the idea that FDev doesn't know they're cheating is ridiculous to me. Of course they know they're cheating. Like, I mean, they're not. I mean, I know we give them a lot of shit, but they're not stupid people. They did create a Milky Way for you to go travel on. I know it can be glitchy, I know it can be annoying, but they still did that. Like, they're not total morons. They realize that there's people who cheat. And I think some guy blocking Jameson is some sort of protest. Like, and I guess I get it. Like, I don't have a problem with it, but I also don't think it's as heroic as some people make it out to be. I also don't think it's as evil as some people make it out to be. Like, I don't think it's heroic in the sense of like, oh, well, he stood up for what's right. It's like the guy parked his beluga sideways in a mail slot and then left it there. Like, that's not heroic, people. And if you think it is heroic, then you really need to go look at what some of our real life people do. I will also say it's not evil. Like, people are like, oh, he's just a flat cheater and like he should be banned for life, which actually I think you got your wish. And all this. Like, he's not evil. He's just some guy either trying to either A, get attention, or B, prove a point. And either way, he's not evil. He's just some dude who's, you know, either fed up or thinks it's fun.
Yeah.
Either way, not evil. So I think at the end of the day, it's just, I don't know, somewhere in the middle. And I think it's actually kind of been blown out of proportion. I think that's a little bit of a fault of our modern society. I don't want to, like I said, get into politics or anything. And I'm not going to do it, but I do think it's a little bit of this whole modern society idea of let's all, I don't know. You know what? I don't want to even get into that. But I don't think it's one way or the other super bad or super evil. It's just what it is what it is. And the guy knew the consequences. I do think they were too harshly, because if he had cheated before and those rumors are true, then I get why you have to perma ban him, because this guy's been caught cheating before. If he had not been cheating before, then yeah, that's a bit douchey. That's a bit douchey by FDev, and I wish I hadn't done. But I kind of get why they did. Maybe.
Yeah. I kind of do feel like it's obvious there's hacking. Yeah, I'm pretty sure FDev is taking care of it as best as FDev does. FDev's record is hit and miss and also there and there, but they are doing what they can, I can only imagine, so just give us some time, like any other video game.
Yeah,
But,
exactly.
I mean, there's no... Yes, I feel like you can be upset of a game, but, I mean, at the same time, what is it going to do? It just doesn't do anything. I've basically come to that term already for my dealing with it. I feel like...
And that's true for any game, not just Elite, by the way. Yeah, and I completely agree with that. You're just hurting your... If you're getting mad at a video game to the point where, like I'm in real life being affected by the fact that Elite's not fixing this, then, like, invest more in real life, because you're not going to get your way in any video game. I've had so many things I've wanted in 95 or 99% of the time, you don't get what you want.
Yeah. What other topics do you have on the board for us, Michael?
Oh, let me think. Well, of course, there's the Thargoid leaderboard race, which is really pretty boring, actually. I'll just a quick update. You know, Legion's second, Hive's third, Axie's first, which is pretty much the same as it was last week. Not much to talk on that front. PvP is interesting. Actually, you could even answer this question for me. Has anything ever come of, because you follow this a little closer than I do, has anything ever come of the whole PvP League vote thing? I remember they were having that vote last time we talked.
I haven't heard much. There's been a lot of fuss, but of course there's a lot of fuss. It is Elite Dangerous. That is what they do. Or that is the community, so I'm pretty sure nothing will be solved until the last second, but that is to be expected. I just hope it goes better than last year, because last year's was a very big disappointment, in my opinion. But I think a lot of people can agree with that too. But don't get me wrong, I do like the idea of what the PvP hub, or not the PvP hub, but the PvP leagues do. It's something that should be in the game and should be happen more, I feel like. It gives a slice of life that not many people would see, and I feel like it's nice. I do wish it did happen more. You don't see very many of these battles in person, you just see the record and that's it, which usually that is how it will go, but seeing it live or seeing it in a large mass scale is just pseudo cool. I think I'm about to be interdicted. Yes.
Oof. I'm assuming just an NPC, so you're probably fine.
Oh no, it's a player.
Oh, it's a player. Well, guys, you'll get dinner and a show. Let me try to think. I have a feeling I'm missing a topic we were going to talk about. Oh, well, I remember kind of not exactly a topic, but just something I wanted to say to the audience. Now that me and Spark are officially doing this, once again, want to reiterate just the thank you and everything for that. But if you guys have things that you're interested in learning about or want to talk about, please let us know. Like, PM Spark especially, you can PM me as well, or drop something in the comments below the YouTube video. and just kind of say, hey, like I'm interested in you guys talking about this, or what you think about this, or something like that. Because a lot of times, we do our best, but we're not always totally sure what everyone's interested in. But we definitely want to learn. So we're not. I feel like this should be at the end of the show, and I'm not sure we're totally done. But I just wanted to mention that before I forgot that, like, if you're interested in any of that, please let us know. Like I said, comments, PMs, any of it's fine. Doesn't really matter. Yeah. So I'm gonna say that. As far as actual topics, I'm trying. Well, we've covered the Thargoids, we've covered the PvP, covered a couple of the mysteries. Actually, let me do something super. We talked about, of course, the Lord Kincaid and possible. Oh, I remember one last thing. I wanted to mention was, have you noticed? And I'm sure you have, that the Fed and the Empire are finally going at something. There's a little bit of a war going on here, and
Oh, there is?
I believe we all know. Well, those of us who do power play are acquainted with the famous system Samir, which it seems like the Imperials and the Federation are going pretty hardcore at. Like I have to say, it's the first time I've seen them go hardcore at it in over one thing anyway, in a pretty long time. Not that they don't always kill each other in general, but like, especially after a system that I would consider to be rather, not meaningless, but not super valuable either. But it seems like the Empire and the Feds are really going at it. It's just kind of becoming interesting.
Very much so. I am in the middle of a PvP fight, so please keep talking.
All right, so apparently to just be on this podcast. Well, for those of you who don't know, Samir was, I believe, originally a Winters system, I want to say. And unfortunately, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on your point of view, lost it. And it's become quite the hotbed. I believe there's like up to 4 powers kind of vying for this one system and seem to be going at each other. I've seen Hudson, I've seen Asia, I've seen Carissa, I've seen all this. And yeah, it's kind of interesting to see this system. And if any of you've been to Samir, it's a very know-nothing system. Nothing super special about it. Doesn't have great triggers or value assets as far as like stations with ISFs and things like that, or cool unique modules, or even a lot of module shopping. So it's just kind of this system, but it seems to be, I don't know, more of a sort of, I guess, personal fight, basically because of a lot of you might know Felicia. I believe, like I said, Felicia was the original controller of the system. She got 5 seed by someone. From what I read from Sajai, it was AD, but I guess it could be anybody. A couple of months back, and this is one of the systems she lost, and so she's hardcore getting into it, and of course the Empire wants to get it as well. But it's interesting to see the so many groups really come together and fight over this one system. And I'm not going to say anything from an Imperial or Federation point of view. Don't worry, and all your guys, your secrets are safe. I just wanted to say that I find it interesting to see them all fighting over one little system like this. So if you want to see some action, or if you're just an independent and just curious, you want to see some imps and feds go at it, definitely Samir seems to be kind of a hotbed.
Very much so. It has been very spicy there. There have been a lot of fights.
Exactly. It seems like almost daily I hear about a fight between Imperials and feds there. So I'm not going to say who's winning. I'm not even actually honestly sure who is winning, so I couldn't answer it anyway. But it definitely seems to be fought over. So intriguing, interesting, nice to see some internal politics, especially in power play, go a little beyond just people hauling, and actually kind of turn into a straight up brawl match, or whatever you want to call it. Although, of course, hauling a team big doesn't have a lot to do with it. So
That's the last of them. All bogies destroyed.
I guess y'all get to watch me chase someone down and kill them today.
oh, well, lucky them.
Yes, this guy interdicted me, and he's gonna pay for his crimes.
Well, not to disappoint anybody, but I will say that I think that is the end of my subjects for tonight. I don't have too many other things to talk about. Like I said, a lot of times I'm not sure what you guys want to hear, so I definitely want to reiterate again that we would appreciate any comments or any messages or anything like that might just say, hey, I want to talk about this, or I want to talk about this. Because both Spark and I are pretty knowledgeable about Elite in general, whether it be lore or in-game or even the politics, although there we got to be a little more careful. We're pretty knowledgeable of that stuff, and we're definitely willing to listen and answer those questions. So hopefully next podcast we'll maybe have some. Don't worry, everyone. We'll come up with our own stuff as well, but we'll maybe have some suggestions from you guys and can answer some of those questions.
What is your, there's one more topic I wanted to talk to you, Michael. What do you think about the
Go
recent
ahead.
leak of the AI vehicle thing that Obsidian and Ant was talking about?
Ooh, the AI vehicle. I assume where you're talking about where FDev had basically asked, like, hey, is there any good AI writers for the motion of vehicles and stuff like that? I have some wishes and some hopes. I think it could be anything from Guardian Constructs to maybe a Thargoid mothership, but it sounds like we're gonna have something new and something big, and that's good. I'm hoping they'll actually bring that update this year, probably towards the end of it, because I just have this sneaking suspicion. And by the way, before anyone asks, no, I do not have any inside info. This is just a personal sneaking suspicion that towards the end of this year, probably November, something like that, that FDev is not going to give us a big update, but they're going to give us just a little treat. Now that could be anything from the final fleet carriers or squadrons that they've talked about for so long. Maybe this is the year of the Thargoid War, so maybe they'll finally bring in a mothership and we can fight that. Or maybe they'll even bring in the constructs or something like that. So,
Yes.
but I think that does, if nothing else, hint that we have something new coming. It's more a matter of when.
Very much so. I found my player that interdicted me.
Oh, well, get him, Spark. Get him.
Of course, always. No one goes unscathed whenever they interdict me.
Definitely. Oh.
Hey there, you dying on me?
No, I'm not dying. Sorry, I was kind of had something a little caught in my throat, but I think I'm good now. I think by the way, just a little slight apology. I think for both of us, it's very, very late here, and me and Spark both have very, very busy real lives, like I'm sure most of you do. So we get a little burned out occasionally as well.
Very much so. I also, guys, I wanted to mention I have started a new job, so things are going to get a little hectic around here, but I am hopefully going to be keeping up with the videos and everything else. Hopefully nothing will drag. I am in a very weird part of my life right now. As you guys know, I got unemployed a couple months ago, and things have been a little wacko. So hopefully everything will be fine. And
Again,
everything
we're
will be good.
Yeah, we're definitely all wishing that for you, Spark, for sure. I know I am. But the podcast will also keep going, guys. We'll do our best to keep it weekly. It might not always be weekly. It could occasionally be bi-weekly. But the more topics you give us, the easier it is for us to make these videos. And also, it lets us know that, like I said, you actually want to hear about this, and we're not just repeating ourselves or that. Because it is really dangerous, and sometimes things can move us a little slow. So, but we're happy to talk about everything. In fact, next episode I have a couple of ideas, a couple teasers. Maybe we'll go talk about some of the old day stuff and some best things, and who knows? Maybe we'll also get into some of the real hardcore lore of the game, and also delve a little deeper into these mysteries that we kind of always seem to scratch the surface of, but never quite dive into.
Yes.
So
Hopefully more things do come up as FDev talks about them.
exactly. Anyway, Spark, I don't know about you, but I think this has kind of been a good episode, or hopefully it's been a good episode, and you'll probably say goodbye.
Yes. I'm going to let everyone enjoy my combat with this guy, Commander Amanda, or Adama.
All right, guys. Well, that'll be a great end to the video. Everyone enjoy watching Spark kill somebody, as he usually does. As always, Spark, it has been a fantastic just talking with you and chatting with you in general. And like I said, guys, I'll even say it for a third time. Suggestions are appreciated. But at the end of the day, yeah, thank you. Thank you guys for listening. We really appreciate it. Hey, please like and subscribe Spark. He really works hard at getting all this done. I'm just some dude on the mic somewhere. He's the one who gets it all good, and so you guys can actually hear it. So like and subscribe, give the guys some love, and yeah, thank you for listening.
Yes, he managed to get out of my grasp, so I'm not going to worry about it, and I'm going to head out. Also, thank you guys for staying tuned and also watching the podcast with me and being part of us. It helps my channel a lot. For any sort of likes, subscribes, anything else, feedback, do answer questions. I do try to reply as soon as I can, and as Michael said, please give us some questions that we hopefully can answer. We will write them down and hopefully answer them. And
Absolutely. Until next time.
Until next time, catch you on the next one. See you guys.
Have a good night, everyone.